Good morning. Woo. Oh, it's hot in this long sleeve. I was wearing a long sleeve because out here picking tomatoes, and it has gotten a little warm. Our heat index is already up around 100. Find a place to throw that, where black widows won't get into it. So I've got a couple of buckets here, 5-gallon buckets, and we are going to go through and pick tomatoes. We have bukus of tomatoes that are starting to come off, and it is time. And these are early girls, and they've been anything but early. I don't know how they got that name. I haven't really looked into it much, but they are the perfect size to can, to stew, and we love them. And now I'm picking them a little, they have blushed beautifully. They're still a little firm, um, but like I said, our event is Saturday. This is Thursday, so by the time Saturday rolls around, they will be at their most beautiful stage. Now, there's some on here that are just beautiful. Look at that. Woo, they're so beautiful. You know, there's one thing that Okies take seriously, and that is growing their tomatoes. I learned that, and you know, I know why. It's a staple of pride whenever you can produce something for your family or for yourself that is healthy, nutritious. Um, Tomatoes contain high levels of alpha lipoic acid. Now, if you are diabetic with type 2 diabetes, your ears should have perked when I said alpha lipoic acid. Um, they, meaning scientists and doctors, have found out that ALA, which is what I'll call it from here on out, because alpha lipoic acid is a mouthful, they have found out that it is extremely beneficial to people who have type 2 diabetes. And when I had found this out, I am borderline diabetic. Uh, it runs in my family, um, quite severe. Um, oh, some of these babies have just fallen over. They're so loaded. I am so sorry. My goodness. Michael just being mean to y'all. Ignoring you. Goodness. Okay. That's better. I'm going to have to put a steak on it. Prop it up better than that. So, anyways, back to ALA. It has shown signs of weight loss. It gets into the blood and it lowers your blood sugar. Um, Now, I was finding this out whenever I was having major, major restless leg syndrome when I go to bed at night. And, you know, I thought maybe, oh, it's because I wear boots. Oh, it's, you know, I've done an event and I've been on my feet all day. These are rotten. So I'm gonna, well, they're not rotten. I'm gonna go through and give them to the roosters. So anyways, back to ALA. Uh, Finding out that nighttime is when I really show my symptoms of being pre-diabetic. from restless leg, waking up at certain hours of the night, multiple trips to the bathroom to go urinate, and finding out that I would eat a bowl of ice cream before bed, and my body is releasing the sugar or trying to get rid of the sugars while I'm sleeping. And that was causing major problems. I wasn't getting a full night's sleep or a restful night's sleep. By the time I was ready to go to sleep, the alarm clock was going off, time to get up, and that can really affect your mood and cause heart issues. And so I started looking into it because that's just the way that I am. And I believe our health is in our hands. No doctor, no medicine man, anything like that can interfere with that. It is up to you to get up and do what needs to be done. And so I started looking into it, and I come across information that was extremely beneficial, and it had talked about some foods that we have got to start consuming more, such as broccoli, spinach, because of the ALA that the plant holds. Broccoli next to tomatoes have high alpha lipoic acid in them, and sweet potatoes, asparagus. Now, it says potatoes, but I believe it's sweet potatoes. So I'm pulling some of these lower limbs off that have dried up and or drying up. Fellas, calm down. There's plenty. Trust me. Goodness, I got a half a bucket here and I ain't even done. With this row, I can't even tell you how many rows we got in here. We got about 70 plants. 70, yeah, we started off with 80, but we've pruned back some. And what's funny with tomato plants, people are pulling their plants. They're done, and we are still pulling tomatoes. We've been pulling tomatoes for quite a while now. Oh, have mercy. Those rats get in here. I don't know if it's rats or rabbits. I'm not sure, but I've just about had it with them. When we overplant for such instances, but I mean, come on. Enough is enough. So anyways, back to medicine talk. We, now, ALA can hurt your stomach. That acid can upset your stomach and cause you to have an upset belly. And of course, we make a tea, a blackberry leaf tea that I go out and I harvest the leaves of a blackberry and process them down and ferment them. And we also make kombucha. And these are just things to kind of help stomach health, gut health, and which is important if you're going to handle your own medicines. Some medicines out there can hurt your stomach. And look at those back there just falling over. I don't know if y'all can see those. Now, as I'm picking these, I'm checking them over and making sure that there's no bugs or bites or anything out of them. Come on, lady, let's stand up. Oh my goodness, she is so heavy. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna have to stake this one real quick. Let me see if I can relieve some of the weight real quick. Oh, these tomatoes smell so wonderful. Now, would y'all believe that we don't fertilize our tomatoes? We fix the soil with goat manure, and that stops us having to add any type of supplement later on in the season. And as you can see, it has worked very well. Another thing we do when we plant, now I know everybody has their own way of planting tomatoes and their own way to live by them, their own, that they got tomato Bibles out there in the world that people live by. One thing that we do when we plant them, I add Epsom salt to the hole, and then put the plant in, pack it back with dirt, and then I add more Epsom salt. I add a ring of Epsom salt. If you watch some of the earlier videos, you'll see a white ring, and that's Epsom salt that I use. And now a lot of this is our chickens. They get in here and get their dinner a little early. They're not allowed to, but I don't really stop them either, so. This one's a little soft. So. But yeah, when I came across that info about ALA, I was so relieved to know that there was something that I could do, something that I could eat to remedy some of my problems that I was having. And you know, it affects your health, your moods. When you don't feel good, you don't want to go around people. You don't want to be around people. We are almost done with these 2 rows. Uh-oh, let go. So I'm using one of my lanyards that I make, and it's holding the microphone, and it's doing a great job, I think. I haven't really played back or done a mic check with it. I hope it's not picking up too much reverberation or bass or muffling. I'm just trying to make sure I don't get distracted here by talking too much and reach off in here and pull the wrong thing out. And by the wrong thing, I mean a snake. Because some of these limbs were down on the ground. And those chickens are going to love that. Now, I had a long sleeve shirt on a while ago. I was going to wear a long sleeve shirt to do this because sometimes tomatoes can make me itchy. Not that I'm allergic to them, it's just they have little hairs on them that kind of feel like you've been rolling in insulation. And I can't stand that feeling at all. So, to counter that, I'll wear a long sleeve shirt when I'm out here. It's almost like you've been working in okra. If y'all have ever picked okra before, you want to wear a long sleeve shirt. This poor tomato plant is just falling over. Well, I see the rabbits and mice don't like the ones that are older. They want the good ones. Little turkeys. Well, hey, little grasshopper. You may live now. I am not hunting for grasshoppers right now. Oh, man, something has really just been working on that one. Goodness. Oh, well. That's chicken and goat food. Good reminder. I'll put some of these back for the goats. The chickens don't get them all. I know I blabbed a lot, but I do appreciate y'all spending some time with me out here in the garden. And it's almost full. This 5-gallon bucket. I've only gone through 3 rows. Woo, Lord of mercy. Now this weekend we're going to be at the Tulsa Flea Market. If y'all are in the area and you'd like to meet up, one thing is I hope this microphone remedies breathing heavy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fruit. We still got miles to go, y'all. This is what they call a southern rose. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. Let me swing you around here. Um, and as of right now, she's probably about 6 foot tall. Yeah, she's about 6 foot tall. Uh, she'll start blooming probably about 2 weeks before the first frost. This is what we use to signal when frost is coming. And when she starts blooming, you can take that to the bank that it is winter is right around the corner. So get to harvesting whatever you need to. We use that time and we'll go through and we'll strip all of these tomato plants down to, we'll take everything off of them. As far as green tomatoes, no matter how big they are, how small they are. And now we don't make pickles, but we make pickled green tomatoes. And if you haven't ever had them before, they are delicious. Let me lower this down some. See if I can do it without breaking it again. There we go. And they're real easy to make. You just make a simple brine for them. You know, we use pretty much just one type of brine, vinegar and water. And that brine, you can You can do all kinds of things. Look at that evidence of a tomato hornworm. You'll see that little black. That is its excrement, which usually means they are right above that area. Some people get out here with black lights and look for them. We don't have a black light. Sometimes they can slip on by me. They blend right in. You can't even, they just camouflage so well. They look just like a tomato leaf. And there's some more evidence of them. You see, they'll just dig a hole out. They're probably in one of these tomatoes, actually. But it'll be fine. The goats can have those, goats and chickens. Ooh, come on now. Oh, goodness. I am so sorry. Just leaving it on there. Just right. Now, after picking these, I'm going to go up and wipe them down real good. I'm not going to rinse them. I'm just going to wipe them and get them ready for market. I'll put them up on the porch and let them finish drying out or turning red if they are going to finish, if there's any more to go. To go. I had also found out that tomatoes ripen by airflow, not the sun. And so make sure they can get plenty of good air flowing around them. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning about everything of the garden because it's crucial. There is no time that you know it all. And with that being said, if you have a favorite way of growing tomatoes, let me know. You prefer to grow them in pots? I see that's the big thing nowadays. Raised beds, pots, things like that. I personally don't like putting them in pots. Our tomatoes, they're over 6 foot tall right now. They're going on 7 feet. And if I put them in a raised bed, that's 3 more feet. So I'll need a ladder to pick those tomatoes. and I don't really want to do that. Oh my goodness, it's heavy. Getting heavy. Oh, persimmon tree coming up right there. We got dill growing right here. We let dill grow on its own. We had it in pots here a couple of years ago, and it just seeded, and it's that was a good one. I think this whole plant needs to come out, and it's loaded with little green ones, but it's so low to the ground, and it just makes it accessible to everything getting a hold of it. Chewing on it, pecking on it. Watch my footing here because we're getting in here where it's getting a little thick. We've already come across a couple of rattlesnakes in here. Pygmy rattlers, but they're still rattlesnakes. They can still get you together when they latch on to you. I've only been bit by one of them. One time I was pulling weeds, not paying attention. Just he got my middle finger here, and that got me together real quick. So yeah, we uh we spent a weekend last weekend, I believe. We made some tomato sauce from tomatoes. A lot of times when I can't get to them, I'll put them in bread sacks and freeze them, and that will allow me to come back later and work on them. And freezing them is handy because we use a squeezo to make our tomato juice and sauce, and you don't have to peel them when you do that, um, or scald them. It skips a step and cuts that time down immensely. Now, this is the last row of the early girls. Let's see, one, two, three, four. Yeah, this is our last row of early girls. And behind these, we have homesteaders. And they're pretty large. Actually, I think this row is half and half. I, we, I had it all labeled at the beginning of the season, and of course, that's all gone now. Now we'll go through and pick some. Ooh, that was bad. Um, some green tomatoes to take too. That I found out people love coming across green tomatoes, and so we'll take some large ones. I won't take these little ones like I have been, and I personally like to make salsa verde out of green tomatoes. It is delicious, y'all. You take probably about 6 tomatoes, green ones. You take some green spicy peppers, onion, 1 onion, um, probably about 4 cloves of garlic, and I mean you can use however much garlic you want. I like it garlicky, and let's see what else. Um, those peppers, they can be spicy. I don't like using bell peppers. It seems to make it bitter, so we'll use like a serrano or jalapenos, and throw it under the broiler until everything gets good and blistered, and flip them, get the backside good and blistered, and let them cool down. Put them in the blender, and while those are blending on the stove, put some chicken stock on, um, and when that gets boiling and bubbly, add that mesa verde to it, about 4 cups of chicken stock. That will generally be 1 container of chicken stock if you buy your chicken stock. That's about 4 cups, I believe. And let that reduce. It'll thicken. Um, and let it reduce down a little bit. And add some chopped chicken to it, or just have it with no chicken in it, and pour it over rice. Um, pour it over a meat. Um, what's really good is poured over pasta. I call it um, chicken spaghetti. Sorry, my mind just went blank. And but I'll add chicken to it. It's if you make tamales or buy store-bought tamales, you need a sauce to go with them sometimes, and it is Delicious. I love it. Charles likes it too. That's one thing. He don't like it when I make it real spicy. And sometimes I can make it too spicy. All right, y'all. I do believe this bucket is full. I got about as much in there as I can get. So I'm gonna go get another bucket. I'll be right back. Oh, my goodness. This bucket doesn't have a handle. So, now how did I miss those? Thing about picking tomatoes, guarantee you won't get them all. You're gonna come back through and find some that you missed. So, about 30 minutes and I've already picked one bucket full. My eye's playing tricks on me. Alright, so this one is so loaded, it's fallen over here. Now, I generally like getting out early in the morning to pick tomatoes. I think that just, that is less stress on the plant when you can do that. But these plants are stressing themselves. They're so loaded. My goodness. Meadow tomata. Meadow. Meadow is a Muskogee word for thank you. So you may hear me say that sometimes. I kind of believe these plants don't speak English. They speak Creek or Muskogee, and they know that language. They're familiar with it. It's an old language, and so I'll speak that a lot to them out here. The language, the parts that I do know. I am not fluent in the language by no means, but I do try to learn new words when I can. Something I learned, a phrase that I had learned was an agechka, help me. And I think one thing is I had to learn it in English first and when to use it. A lot of times we don't like asking for help. And we think it shows weakness, and it doesn't. It's just our thinking. So sometimes I'll say, Mado anagechka. Thank you for helping. That's what these beings do, these tomato plants. All plants. Whenever you practice reciprocity in taking care of plants, it's important to acknowledge these beings, as sentient beings, as helpers. Let them know they're loved, just like every living being needs to be told that and shown that, not just told, but shown. Oh, it's that time of the morning. I'm starting to get philosophical. I can't help it. I get out here working around these beings and it starts coming out. This fills my heart to get out here and work with these plants. And it's more than pride. It's, now I'm surprised. Normally I don't talk when I do this. This is kind of a quiet time. Of course, that would be kind of boring for you as watchers. Spin you around here. I don't know if y'all can see these limbs, but they have just fallen down. They don't even, I don't even think they make tomato cages that tall commercially, not without having to make it ourselves. One year we used wood. We built everything one year, and that did okay. Uh, we didn't have a very good tomato harvest that year. Tomatoes were real small. Um, we reached out this year and got new seed. Uh, it was time. We felt like our seed's only good for so long. Tomatoes will start regressing back to their original state, and originally tomatoes were no bigger than an asparagus berry. If y'all saw how big those berries were back when natives cultivated them in Mesoamerica, they were tiny, and it took loads of them to make anything. So that was an interesting thing I found out uh, about the tomato. Um, this size was done by Europeans, Spanish, Europeans, and when they brought them back to the United States, this is what we had. Look at this. Oh, she is all the way over here, y'all. She has fallen over. This is a homestead. I don't know if y'all can see this, but it's going to be large. Large and in charge. She is heavy. The plant of this is over there. It's fallen over. I thought this is our last row of um, early girls. Those have just fallen over. Now we still grow our original seeds that we had gotten from the Tomato Man before he passed. Now his daughter runs it, and the Tomato Man's daughter, and she still produces a wonderful product. And but we had just fixed ourselves to not need to buy, because when we would go buy tomato plants, we would spend just hundreds of dollars on tomato plants, and that's not really needed now. Now that we know how to start them from seeds. We educated ourselves on it. If we're going to do it, you're going to learn how to do it. That's like when we started sewing. I told Charles, I said, if we're going to start sewing, then I want to learn how to fix a sewing machine. I don't want to rely on having to take this machine in every single time the timing is off, or anything. Anytime something happens, we need to be able to fix it ourselves. And so we both sat down and we learned. Thank goodness for YouTube, huh? We are, or I am, a YouTube graduate. You know, I believe there ain't nothing out there that we should not know how to do because of YouTube. You can believe someone has done it or is in the process of doing it, and because of that, we learn through their experience. There's some over here that I have missed. Oh, well, they're eating on anyways. Oh, they're just beautiful until you turn them around and see if they're half eaten. Oh. My grandma had a saying. It may be a little crude, but it's enough to make your butthole want to dip a snuff. I never knew what that meant until getting out here and the frustration and confusion do something and you think it's going to work and it don't work. You try something else. Before you know it, you don't know if you want to scratch your watch or wind your rear end. Alright, so that's a bucket and a half. Now that is all of the early, oh no it's not, I still got one more plant to go through here. The very first one. And then we'll move on to our homesteaders. Homesteaders, we have 4 rows. So we are at halfway point here. And these will go really quick. Homesteaders should have been called early girls because they bloomed early on and produced while everything else was taking a break. Now I've heard it said that tomatoes have their own natural pesticide to them. And whenever you pick the limbs, you leave them on the ground around the plant, and it will stop other pests from getting on them. I don't know if that's true or not. We haven't tested that. Well, we kind of tested it, and we haven't really had a problem with aphids. Uh, we had we were starting to get a problem with aphids, and I did a tobacco rinse on them, and we haven't had a problem since. So I'm not sure exactly what it was that worked. It could have been the dry weather. Who knows? These things. But I water religiously. Um, I don't have the water hose on right now because I don't want to walk through water. And when I water, I flood out. I don't water just a little bit. We flood it out. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to let y'all go this long. All right. I don't feel like it had. Yep, it had a bad space on it. See that? Almost got by me. All right. Now we're ready for the homesteaders. And like I said, these will go pretty quick. So I really put these tomato plants in way too thick. Um, Normally I go in 3 foot apart, but for some reason we had 80 plants and I had to have a home for them all. So we put them in at 2 foot apart and we are paying for it now. They're so thick, my goodness. I don't know if y'all can see how large this one is. So, and we got them down low. All the way up. There's not many in there. I think I'll do better to go from the other side. It's like a jungle. Our tomato jungle. Now, these over here are uh, our what we call our heirloom tomatoes. We got these a long time ago. We've been saving the seeds on them. My goodness, these seeds are they are probably around 14 years old. These seeds are, and believe it or not, they were good size when we got them. And just over the years, they have gotten smaller and smaller. I'll show you. But this is kind of where I learned that, they'll start regressing back to their smaller form. But they were double this whenever we first started growing them. And I believe they were called Sioux tomatoes. Um, Soiux, I believe. Um, and I don't name them, but I don't like most of the names that come on tomato plants. It's like, how in the world did you come up with that name? There's another plant they do that with. They got some wild names. Bananarama, uh, all kinds of stuff. And it's like, well, I guess if you're the one who cultivated it, I guess you can call it whatever you want to. So we started calling them mashkoge tomatoes. Or res apples. Hey. We cultivate them. We can call them what we want to. But they do still produce good sized ones. And we'll still keep the seed of these. I mean, these are, you can see they're still a good size, and they're good and heavy, good and juicy. We got them because they were supposed to be a high juice, low meat, high juice, and they are. We get quite a bit of tomato juice off of them whenever we start making sauce. Yeah, there's still some more down in there. These things are just so thick, y'all. Just thick as can be. That's a good size one for it. Eat up. I'm just throwing the bad ones on the ground. I'm going to go back later and pick them up. Them goats would be so mad at me if they found out I'm out here just throwing things on the ground. Then you wonder why we get in the garden, Papa. So the other night, we did a small video. We caught one baby goat that had gotten out, and she was in the backyard over here, and she was just chomping on some grass and playing it cool and casual. She was on her way to the gardens where she was on her way to, and but trying to play it off like I'm just here to nibble down on some grasses. And so while we were getting her put up, we had forgotten to lock the garden gate, and every single one of those adult goats got in here, and it all happened so fast. I didn't record it. It just my main objective was to get their little tails out of here because they will clear this. They were already off into the black eyed peas. A couple were. One was on the pear tree. I'm gonna go ahead and take this one out. But I'm gonna take the green off of them, and we were able to get them out. And luckily they've gotten good at, the adults anyways, they go by command. Um, all I have to do is point and tell them, and they'll get to it and do it. Oh, we got wild turkeys off to the south. They're out there calling out right now. Let's see if I can do this without making a big mess. Oh, I got it tied on. Well, foot. Just a minute. Let me see here. I got so many strings out here, y'all. If I took off running and ran through this bed, I'd choke myself up. Hang myself up. All right. And wouldn't you know it, I didn't bring my pocket knife. Normally I bring one when I come out here. There we go. All right. Try that again. There we go. Yeah. Poor thing. Just dried it. I think it dried up. I think it had a little blight in it. You can see the rooting on it. It had given up already. Now we're left with a little walkway. Yay. No more taking the long way home. So I'm actually thinking about pulling all of these. They've all fallen over, and we still have 2 rows right here of them. So I just hate to pull them. I hate to do that. So, well, I'm going to go get a drink of water and a new bucket, and I will see y'all. I'm going to wrap this up, and then we'll move on to the next plant. This is almost an hour long already. Thanks, you guys.